4 weeks. That's the window Aston Martin and Honda had between Japan and Miami. And they approached it, unlike anyone else on the grid. While Ferrari was rebuilding major components at Monza and Mercedes was running tire programs at the Nürburgring, Aston Martin shipped their actual race car to Honda's Sakura facility. Not a test mule or spare chassis, the same car that ran at Suzuka. They mounted it on a dyno, hooked it into Honda's complete sensor system, and began searching for real answers. Shintaro Orihara, Honda's lead trackside engineer, even sat inside the car during parts of that testing to physically experience the vibrations not simulated, but firsthand. That detail is revealing. When your lead engineer is sitting in a stationary car on a dyno, trying to replicate what the driver's been dealing with since Australia, you are no longer dealing with theory. You are chasing a real, persistent issue. Today marks sprint qualifying in Miami. In roughly 7 or 8 hours, Alonso and Stroll will drive the car for the first time in 5 weeks, and we will finally see whether any of this effort has made a difference. There's an important detail that has largely gone unnoticed. Before the Sakura session during the April break, Honda had never once run the AMR26 engine while it was fully integrated with the actual chassis. The rushed build of the car, driven by Newey pushing timelines, meant Silverstone never had the proper setup for this kind of integrated testing. And Sakura initially didn't either, until adjustments were made. Bringing the full car there fundamentally changed what Honda could analyze. Normally, a dyno isolates the power unit. With the full chassis attached, you are evaluating the entire system. The vibrations causing Alonso to lose feeling in his hands and feet are not purely an engine issue. They stem from resonance between the engine, chassis, and mounting structures. Orihara confirmed that Honda introduced hardware changes in Miami, the first such changes this season. Up to now, the team had relied on countermeasures that managed symptoms rather than addressing root causes. This time, the focus shifted to the source itself. As for what exactly was changed, they are not disclosing detail. "We can't explain the detailed points," Orihara repeated multiple times in media sessions, though he emphasized confidence in the updates. 4 weeks is a short time frame for hardware revisions, something Orihara himself acknowledged. That suggests the changes were already in development prior to Sakura, with the factory work accelerating and validating them. Mike Crack made an unusually candid statement in Miami. "We cannot expect miracles. That is not typical team messaging. That is a clear admission that competitiveness should not be expected this weekend." He also highlighted progress from earlier races. In Melbourne, neither car finished. In Shanghai, Alonso was forced to take his hands off the wheel. In Japan, they finished, albeit 18th and a lap down. Crack views this as a progression. First, reliability, then performance. He noted that once reliability issues are under control, attention shifts fully to performance, suggesting they believe they are nearing that stage. However, the numbers tell a harsher story. Aston Martin are roughly 2 seconds off the pace in qualifying. That gap is not about reliability. It reflects deeper shortcomings in both chassis and engine that cannot be solved overnight. Major aerodynamic upgrades are not expected until Silverstone or Spa, and power unit performance updates will only become available after Canada. Until then, progress is incremental, race by race. So yes, no miracles, but there has been a shift. The immediate question is whether both drivers can complete a full race distance without physical strain. Sprint qualifying begins to answer that. Looking at the broader picture, Aston Martin and Cadillac currently sit last and second to last. That much is obvious. But the first 3 races reveal more nuance. In qualifying, the AMR26 holds a small advantage, just a few tenths over the Cadillac. In races, however, Cadillac has improved steadily from Melbourne to Suzuka and is closing that gap. That context matters. Cadillac is a brand new team with no prior Formula One infrastructure, running a customer Ferrari engine. Yet they are already within tenths of a team with Adrian Newey, a Works Honda partnership, and a cutting-edge Silverstone facility. Both teams remain far behind the rest, over 3 seconds from the front and more than a second behind Williams. But this comparison highlights Aston Martin's deeper issue. This is not a minor midfield deficit. It is a structural problem that places them alongside a debut team. Pit stop performance reinforces that. Ferrari averages 2.38 seconds per stop, while Aston Martin exceeds 4 seconds on average. That is not an anomaly, it is their norm. This points to a comprehensive issue, a 3-6-0-degree problem, not simply an engine weakness paired with an otherwise competitive chassis. A major aerodynamic package is expected at Silverstone or Spa, as reported by Autoracer. and nothing from the team contradicts that timeline. What is often overlooked is how far away that is. Silverstone is race 9. Spa race 10. We are currently at race 4. That means Aston Martin plans to run essentially the same aerodynamic package for 5 or 6 more races after Miami. Meanwhile, Ferrari continues bringing updates. McLaren has introduced a heavily revised car, and Red Bull has already tested significant upgrades. The delay for Aston Martin is not due to lack of effort. Their wind tunnel only became operational in mid-April 2025, 4 months behind schedule. As a result, the AMR26's aerodynamic model had significantly less development time than its rivals. That deficit cannot simply be rushed. On top of that, Honda's upgrade allocation adds further constraints. After Canada, they may receive up to 2 performance upgrade opportunities for the season, not continuous updates. Just 2 key moments. So the realistic plan is clear. Make it to Silverstone, introduce the aero upgrade, wait for power unit upgrades post-Canada, and deploy them strategically. That is not a title-contending strategy. It is about survival. And right now, the immediate concern is simple. Can both cars finish the sprint race? Miami will not answer whether Aston Martin can score points or suddenly become competitive. It will not confirm the full potential of Newey's design. It answers only one thing: whether both cars can complete the race. So far this season, Australia, no finishes. China, Alonso retired mid-race. Japan both finished, but far from competitive. That stands as their best result so far. At Suzuka, temporary fixes worked on Friday, but were removed before the race due to reliability concerns. However, there is one meaningful shift. For the first time, the team may truly understand the problem. On top of that, Honda's upgrade allocation adds further constraints. After Canada, they may receive up to 2 performance upgrade opportunities for the season, not continuous updates, just 2 key moments. So the realistic plan is clear. Make it to Silverstone, introduce the aero upgrade, wait for power unit upgrades post-Canada, and deploy them strategically. That is not a title-contending strategy, it is about survival. And right now, the immediate concern is simple. Can both cars finish the sprint race? Miami will not answer whether Aston Martin can score points or suddenly become competitive. It will not confirm the full potential of Newey's design. It answers only one thing: whether both cars can complete the race. So far this season, Australia, no finishes. China, Alonso retired mid-race. Japan both finished, but far from competitive. That stands as their best result so far. At Suzuka, temporary fixes worked on Friday but were removed before the race due to reliability concerns. If the same pattern repeats in Miami, if the new hardware fails under race conditions, the outlook for Aston Martin's 2026 campaign becomes much more concerning. Not because of one result, but because it would indicate that the Sakura effort did not deliver on its promise.